A Michigan judge warned a 20-year-old domestic violence defendant that his behavior resembled the warning signs often seen in murder-suicide cases involving abusive relationships. During sentencing, the victim described living in constant fear that he would eventually come back to hurt or even kill her after allegedly refusing to let her leave his home. Prosecutors describe a relationship that escalated into emotional control, threats, panic attacks, and repeated assaults, while the judge openly questioned whether the defendant's behavior could have become even more dangerous if nobody had intervened.
He is going to come find me and try to hurt me. Every night I either go to the bathroom or kitchen for a late night snack. I'm scared that he will somehow be there waiting for me. I am living constantly in fear that he is going to come back to hurt me or kill me even. What scares me the most is that I truly don't know all that he is capable or willing to do. I'm scared that he is going to come back for revenge because I have decided to speak up about what he did to me. I'm even starting to go to therapy because my family sees my mental health taking a steep decline. My family also thinks that I do not know how to process anything that happened to me. They are right. My brain keeps scrambling and trying to process things, but the only thing that comes out of it is panic attacks. I constantly think about how I was in fear of not making it out of his house alive one day. Even though I did, it doesn't feel like I did. Ever since that happened, it feels like a part of me was left behind. And the way that this has affected the people around her, I believe my Aunt Patsy has been the person around me that has been affected by this the most. She has tried to help me as much as she possibly could throughout this. She gave me the courage to come forward and even offered to let me stay with her since my dad left for a hunting trip. She was and is constantly worried for me, though. She didn't let me go anywhere unaccompanied in fear of something happening. I can tell there is more to it, but I can't quite pinpoint why it triggers her so much. My friends are extremely worried about me. Not only are they worried about me, but also worried about themselves. Once Ethan told me he has ways to get people killed and even has threatened to have my friends killed. He knows where one of them lives because he had been there before.
Do we have sound yet? Can you tell? All right. Well, that's a lot, Mr. Bovee. That's about as hard-hitting as it gets. Apparently, there's another complainant under similar circumstances that I don't know much about, so I can't really consider that, but I guess it could result in another charge. Mr. Truckee, what would you like me to know?
The victim told the court she now lived in constant fear, suffered panic attacks, and worried the defendant might retaliate against her for speaking publicly about what happened.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bovee's 20 years old. He lives with his parents. Parents were away for a vacation or traveling in some sense, and he got a girl to come over. It's a very 20-year-old story so far. Girl came over, they kind of rekindled whatever relationship they previously had in August of this year. She comes over, and somehow Mr. Bovee's mental condition and his demeanor took a turn toward the negative. I can't say if it's being a younger mind and trying to process how relationships ought to work, because this isn't how they ought to work. Mr. Bovee is consciously aware of that, but clearly things took this huge nosedive. He's pled to his conduct. He acknowledges his domestic assaults that he committed against the complainant, and they spend this period of time together where clearly, Your Honor's read the report, clearly Ms. Holmer did not feel free to leave. We don't need to get into the standard of why this wasn't charged as a felony unlawful imprisonment, but there was this rolling tension for these days. I tend to read into the report that it was an ebb and flow situation. I don't know that it was of the same intensity the entire time, but Mr. Bovee obviously conducted himself poorly, and it's pretty clear that there's something that needs to change for him before this escalates into even more troubling conduct. One thing of note is that Mr. Bovey's father, charges were requested against him because he did see this, and not asking for him to be charged, but he felt that this needed a course correction as well. And he may have assaulted Ethan. When the parents got home and find out what's going on, it caused an uproar in the family. So there are adults in Ethan's life, more mature adults, that are aware of the negative issue here and willing to assist society in repairing Ethan to not be this kind of person. I cannot even begin to explain to you why this happened, other than love and youth are complex and apparently sometimes cause wires to cross. But Mr. Bovey does have an appointment with Pivotal. He did a Pivotal intake. He's got appointments scheduled on the book for his own mental health treatment. He's begun taking a sertraline for depression, which was a fairly long-standing medication for him that he had quit during the pendency of this relationship with Miss Homer. I'm not going to say that caused everything, but when one ceases psychotropic medication, funny things can happen. I'm unaware of any of this prior conduct that's alleged. I would have been happy to look at it, but I don't have it. So what we're asking is that the court use a probationary period to allow Mr. Bovey to learn how to do relationships. That's what he needs to know. He just doesn't know, and he can't do it, and he's doing it wrong, and he needs to fix it. So we don't shy away from any of the negatives of this case, but we ask for the court to recognize the age, the rehabilitative efforts that may succeed for Mr. Bovey, and the other sentencing factors. So with that said, we'd ask the court to institute a period of probation. We'd gladly take advantage of any courses or programming offered during that probation. Thank you.
Mr. Bovey, you've heard what
Defense attorneys acknowledge a relationship had become emotionally unhealthy and controlling, while arguing the defendant's immaturity, untreated mental health issues, and inability to process rejection contributed to the escalation.
the prosecutor had to say, what Ms. Homer had to say, and what your lawyer had to say. What would you like me to know?
That I take full accountability for my misconduct. I really do. And I'm trying to I don't know how to word it. I'm sorry. Just take accountability for my misconduct.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. How did you meet Ms. Homer?
It was 2023, and I went to my friend's graduation party, and she ended up showing up later on in the night. And yeah, I just met her at a
All right, so then you may have dated. How did you reconnect?
One of us got a hold of each other on Facebook.
What kind of work have you done?
Work.
Yeah, employment.
I've worked plenty of places. Currently trying to get a job at a plastics factory.
Where did you last work?
FedEx.
All right. When did you stop working for them?
Right during our relationship.
All right. How'd you lose your job at FedEx?
Not showing up.
Well, that'll do it.
When the defendant addressed the court directly, he admitted responsibility for his conduct, but struggled to explain why the relationship had spiraled so badly.
Sir.
Mr. Truckee used this term. Your parents are more mature than you are. You're very immature. You're 20 years old. You're unemployed. You're living in your parents' basement. Somebody, probably your parents, had to put up a surety bond. So they're out several $100s to bond you out of jail. Your dad was so mad, I'm surprised they didn't leave you in there. It must be your mom bonded you out. But this is really scary stuff.
Yes, sir.
You're 20, I'm 70. Every year in October, they have a candlelight vigil from the domestic assault shelter about people that have lost their lives at an abusive spouse or boyfriend. Occasionally, the victims are male, but the large majority of them are female from bad husbands or bad boyfriends. And they kill themselves after they kill their wife or girlfriend, or they kill their wife and girlfriend and go to prison. Dozens of them in our little county here in St. Joe County. My memory goes back to about 1975. And so, and this reads like one of those. This is weird and creepy. You're very, very needy. You're threatening her. You're threatening self-harm. And as I mentioned, in a number of the cases, the offender kills the girlfriend or the spouse and then they kill themselves. Well, that is not a solution to the question. And as you heard from her, this has been very traumatic to her and has lifetime ramifications. She's going to have to take a while to get through, all because you didn't want her to leave and you didn't want to be alone. And I could see, as weird and creepy as this was, why she didn't want to be there. The more she wanted to leave, the more you didn't want to let her go. I'm going to do it 24 months.
The judge compared the case to domestic violence situations that later escalate into murder-suicides, warning the defendant that controlling behavior, threats, and emotional instability can quickly evolve into deadly violence if left untreated.
Probation. He ended up doing just 1 day in jail. So we're going to do 91 days in jail, credit 1. Of the 90 days ordered, 60 are deferred. Fine is 0. You're going to at some point need to get a job. Crime victims' rights fee of $75, a $50 state minimum fee, $150 attorney fee, $960 probation oversight fee, which could be cut in half. You can do this in 12 months, but I didn't want you to be able to do it in 6. And you had to pay for the class. Let's add that up. $1,235. The bond is from a surety company, so I don't have any money. You go into the full domestic violence class. No assaultive or threatening behavior, no drugs or alcohol. It didn't seem to be an issue. And no contact. I don't know if they're going to charge this other case or not. We'll see. And you're to sign a release if you do seek pivotal or other mental health treatment. There's 2 of these. In the second one, there's 2 counts. I'm just going to a 1 day credit, 1 day concurrent with other count. They're on probation on the other case. Now you get 5 days a month good time. You're going to have 25 days to sit in jail and think about growing up. And it's going to be very difficult for you to get in a healthy relationship unless you get some treatment. You go into jail now, give your parents a 25-day break and give you pause to think that there's a consequence for your actions. When you get out of jail, you're going to need to check in with the probation department. You're not allowed to have any contact with Miss Homer until further order of the court.
Instead of imposing a lengthy prison sentence, the judge ordered probation, treatment, domestic violence classes, and jail time, while warning the defendant that his behavior reflected dangerous patterns commonly seen in abusive relationships that later escalate into tragedy.